gear in their last shot to keep playing this year, to go to Worlds. It's picks and bans for Game 3, and we'll see what they've got in store. Of course, you got to ban that Gangplank against GBM. It's been so good this week. Probably not going to get to play that at all today.
Yeah, Gangplank and Ash, once again, going to be the bans here. And Shen, finally, Azir will not get through for KT.
Yeah.
A bit of an adaptation here. No Lulu first pick for KT either. And
Elise ban too.
And Elise.
Oh boy.
Take it out of the pool. Callista gets through.
Yeah, arrow on Callista. That's 3 words that should send shivers of fear through the spines of everybody on Jin Air. They allowed it to happen, though. They've got to have a plan for this.
A big part of this series, too, we've talked about it a lot, but it's very difficult to compete against very top-tier teams if you do not have a top laner who can carry.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't been Trace. He tried to show that maybe he would be a threat with that Fizz, but it just did not work out for them yesterday, so that's not even really something that they're going to be too concerned about. And Jin Air has spent this entire series so far banning the Fizz, but it gets through this time, and that means KT may just pick it up. Especially if you do that, Jin Air. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do Maokai, and let's someday play Fizz.
I've got a feeling you're about to be disappointed, Monty. 3,
That is
2.
almost insane.
Well, Maokai and Corky locked in for Jin Air, and will we see that Fizz? Maybe they think they can get it on the second rotation. Maybe Jin Air wants to take it. Can GBM play mid-Fizz? Will you pick it that early? It's a lot of questions. I don't think KT's going to let us answer any of them except for the first.
You 100% pick Fizz here.
Absolutely. Grab the Fizz. They're going to get the Gragas as well.
Okay, so I will play devil's advocate. Maybe they see the Callista, they want the KT to pick the Fizz so that they have a very low wave clear composition, and Jin Air will hit in the mid game with the Corky, and they'll get some other wave clear here, maybe the Victor.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So if Jin Air can get enough gold advantage, but they also have to make sure that this Maokai stays alive.
Oh, and they may not actually take the Fizz. They won't. Just kind of letting Jin Air know that they could if they wanted to. Can always pick it later, grabbing the Alistar now. That's a pretty big pickup with that Callista. And will we see Chaser bring back his Nidalee? I wonder.
I think if you know that Fizz is up and you know that Someday is good on it and you've been the one banning it out this entire series, and you pick Maokai, and we know what Fizz can do to a Maokai in the laning phase, you pretty much just have to all in on the mid game.
You've got to have a plan, right?
Yeah, there has to be some sort of plan.
I mean, Nidalee Victor, that's a lot of poke.
Yes.
I think that's a great
Siege
way to
composition.
do it. Yep.
Punish the low wave clear. So this at least starts to play mind games with your opponent in the draft phase.
Yeah.
Because if you take all of these champions that are so good at sieging, it makes KT think twice about when they already have a Callista, taking both side lanes with very little wave clear.
Now, if you are KT, do you take the Victor away?
I think you do, because you have to have some form of wave clear.
There it is.
Fiora pick, actually, into the Maokai.
Well, Someday did quite well with that in game number 1.
Not exactly the results in laning phase that he might have hoped for, so we'll see how he does up against a Maokai in the lane. But same principle. KT Rolster came in tonight. They said, we have a carry top laner. You do not. Therefore, we are going to play 4-1 split every game.
Yep. Very true. So avoiding the Fizz in favor of that split push, continuing on from their earlier 2 games. It certainly worked so far. And the big choice, there it is. Twisted Fate may be picking up for Jin Air, and they will. Okay, GBM on that Twisted Fate. What do you think?
Okay. GBM, we saw Twisted Fate bans in a lot of games against GBM over the course of the Gauntlet because he is very good at playing the map with the TP/TF. And they're setting up a very potent mid game. They need to get those picks. They have a strong pick potential between Maokai and Nidalee with TF in that top side of the map to get kills onto the Fiora. So they had a plan. Panicking about Jin Air's draft, they actually played out the draft very nicely because even if it had been a Fizz, well, Nidalee Maokai is one of the best ganking duos in the game because you set up that spear so easily, and when you combine it with a Twisted Fate who can TP if he needs to, pre-6.
They can really keep that Fiora down if they want to.
Yes.
We'll see how much pressure they... This is going to be a real test for Score as well, in terms of trying to keep that Fiora safe, trying to make plays elsewhere on the map and take advantage of what Jin Air tries to do. But this is it. KT, a 1 win away from Worlds. Can they finish it out? Let's get in the game and find out. And welcome to Summoner's Rift for what could be the last time tonight. KT Rolster versus the Jin Air Green Wings. KT, this one game could send them to the World Championships, a place that a lot of us expected to see them earlier than this, but better late than never, I guess, for the KT organization.
Yeah, and it'd be huge for KT. They've been on the cusp so many times over the course of the Korean involvement in League of Legends. We've seen those 3 World Championships that Korea has been involved in, but remember that the Kespa orgs weren't involved in Season 2, but ever since then, Bullets, of course, very nearly making it in Season 3, and then last year, Arrows winning that summer season, but unable to actually folded in the gauntlet to Najin.
Well, KT has always been the best organization to never make it to Worlds out of Korea, and it looks like they may finally get their chance this time around. They're certainly situated well for it. Seem to be outclassing Jin Air pretty heavily.
Well, the real interesting thing here, Doa, is that they just played the same style of compositions now 3 games in a row, and why change it?
Yeah.
Jin Air has not shown that they have the tools or the necessary players to adapt to the situation that is being presented to them.
You know, I feel like I see a difference here between yesterday and today, whereas you had similar things going on. You know, you had CJ trying to do this stuff. You had Jin Air giving up objectives in favor of like taking a Baron or something like that in exchange for an inhibitor. The difference is that CJ has chronic issues with members getting caught out, especially Ambition and Space. KT doesn't seem to have those issues, and if anyone does, it's Peekaboo, and it's not really too consequential to the rest of the game. So the fact that KT can kind of hold it together that little bit more seems to be giving them a big lead over Jin Air.
Yeah, definitely does. Appear that way right now, and wards were placed down in the enemy jungle by KT Rolster, and so we are going to see a very interesting jungle start with Peekaboo and Arrow going to take their Krugs, but not freeze the wave. Meanwhile, freeze accomplished in the top side by Pilot.
Yeah, both teams trading blue buffs.
Starting out jungling on the strong side, but a little bit of an early steal here.
Well, Che thinking about coming in. Jin Air certainly does have the ability to bust out the cheese from time to time. I don't think they're going to get the chance this time. Scoring someday. Pretty close in that river.
So for Jin Air, this is all about their early game. What can they do with the Nidalee and the TF and the Corki? Because if they go to late game, they are not going to be particularly pleased with the results. They don't have somebody to stop the Fiora split push, just like they didn't have somebody to stop the Yasuo split push in the last game.
Yeah.
So it's about a strong early game for Jin Air and then transitioning into powerful mid-game siege to get a 5 or 6K gold advantage.
I'll score. Wow, someday coming over the wall onto Che. Scaring him off a bit.
They may just head back into a little bit more standard lanes here. Trey's still in that bottom side. Pilot still doing well with the freeze. Chaser moving through his own jungle now.
Yeah, and we'll see how fast they can push down that mid turret. Again, against the Twisted Fate, that's always a big priority because you want to limit his range as far as where he can port to with the ultimate and make plays. The faster you take out that mid turret, the less powerful that Twisted Fate is.
Yes, indeed. And someday here, going to have a bit of trouble against the Corki. This is a great situation for Jin Air. They don't have to worry about the kill pressure from the Kalista in the lane. They can get Corki levels and get him that ultimate even faster, try and power him up to level 11 where he really will have potent siege.
You know, between the cards from Twisted Fate and the rockets from Corki, the spears from Nidalee, Jin Air still has some pretty solid siege on this team too if they can get to that mid game quickly.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's a very advantageous situation. You get Fiora in the 1v1 where she has some issues farming, therefore she can't become a split push threat as fast, and you power up your early game. So everything going right so far for the Jin Air Green Wings.
And do you dive her too? That's the question. Score is pretty close by, but Jin Air looking like they might want to make a play up in the top lane here. Someday at about half health.
Score's going to be there in time.
Yeah, score's there. Oh, are they still going to dive it? 2v3. Teleport coming in. Jin Air wants to go for this. And this is a big dive. It's a 4v2. Score and Someday under their own turret. Big minion wave for Jin Air. Can they make this work? Score getting very low. First blood goes over to Chaser. And they'll just take that and go.
Great play from Jin Air.
Yep.
They knew exactly where the jungler was. They knew where everyone was on the map. And so they make it count. And because the jungler was up there, there isn't any chance.
GBM's got to be careful. He's going to get stunned by the gravity field. Doesn't need to use the flash. I thought he was going to, though, for sure.
Well, he knew the death ray was still down, so there wasn't that much of a threat for more damage. No ignite on the Victor. So KT going to try and answer here by getting a turret, but this is everything that, I mean, Jin Air could really ask for, although they're not going to get the tower on this wave. That Corki just very slowly dealing damage to it, and KT winning the turret race so far.
Yes, they are. But Jin Air getting that first blood onto Chaser is pretty nice. Oh, Someday. Just going to go ahead and riposte the Q. Riposte?
Didn't have to use the Q. Didn't have to use flash, so at least he's got a little bit of extra survivability. Now has a pink ward in the tri-brush for some added protection. So just trying to get what CS he can. And with Trace back down in that bottom side, no actual turret taken by Kalista. So everything really going Jin Air's way, and they didn't even have to use the TP from TF to get that kill.
Yeah. Now that they have the ultimate on Gank by Mom, they can have even more opportunities to try to make plays here. You can see Peekaboo finally coming up to this top lane to help Someday out, to just maybe get him a little bit of farm at least. Going to clear out that ward in the tri-brush. And here comes Chaser. Are they going to make a play onto Arrow here? Yep, the gate coming in. Arrow in a lot of trouble, tries to flash away. GBM right there with the gold card. Trace tanking some turret hits and another easy gank for Jin Air. They are doing exactly what they need to do with this comp.
They are, and they're not, looks like, going to go for the dragon right now, even though that was a possibility for them. Instead, they're just going to TP right back with GBM. He's going to get back into that mid lane, and Peekaboo scrapping it out. GBM already with home guard boots. They wanted to make a quick gank. Well, that could have really surprised Nagne, by the way, because he TP'd to a pink ward in the river. And so he knew there wasn't going to be vision when he came zipping into that mid lane. That does mean that he has a huge investment on those boots already, though.
Yeah. You gotta wonder if that was maybe a little bit of an impulse buy, or if they're planning that all along.
I mean, I actually think that was a pretty clever gank. Nagne didn't fall for it, but had he been able to land that gold card, Chaser would have killed him. So definitely an interesting plan. Chaser already had the Sheen. He decided to go Sheen before even upgrading his machete. So the burst damage is there. The way Jin Air is building this is a way in which they want to take that early lead. They're doing a great job of playing out this composition so far.
Yeah, he also steals the blue buff. So Jin Air getting a little bit of an edge buff-wise as well. KT's going to try to respond. Jin Air knows it's coming, though, so I think it's going to be pretty hard to make that work.
Trace has just such a large CS lead, too.
Yeah.
From Someday getting zoned out. And this is absolutely perfect for Jin Air, and this is really going to test KT's ability to play from behind, because it's hard to imagine a situation going much better. They're soon going to have two Sheens.
WTF, two Sheens?
Oh, yep, two Sheens and two Shens.
Wow. We provide the Shens.
They provide the Sheens.
That's right.
And they're going to have three Sheens, actually, once TF gets his.
Oh, that's too many Sheens.
Too many Sheens. Three Sheens, just crossing a line there in terms of damage. But it'll be a very early power spike, and their skirmishing is going to be deadly.
Yeah. Nagne pushing up that mid lane. Just a bit. They've caught up a little bit of the gold deficit that Jin Air has accumulated out of that farm, out of a couple kills. And the thing is with Jin Air is that they need to keep the momentum going. If at any point in the mid game the momentum kind of stalls out, Seems like that would be very dangerous for Jin Air's late game.
Yes. And one thing we can say about Jin Air is even though they played well in the Gauntlet, probably their biggest failing has been stalling out.
Oh, flash used preemptively for GBM. Dodges that explosive cask. You know it's coming. Nice plays by GBM to stay alive.
Someday actually doing a great job of closing that CS gap.
Yeah.
With the Fiora.
Still a pretty decent lead for Pilot here over Arrow. But again, they need more than just a bit of CS and a couple kills. They need to take turrets, they need to take objectives, and they need to keep taking them until the game is over. And already it seems like things are starting to sort of stall out a bit.
Yeah, they really, you're absolutely right, though. They really have to have that unrelenting pressure, but they nearly have that top lane down right now. Maybe another couple minion waves, and the minions will do the work on their own. So Trace will be happy about that. He keeps pushing forward.
I've got a question. Where do you think the vital spot is on Maokai exactly that Fiora is supposed to hit? No wonder she's having a hard time. He's just bark and, like, magic. And that's it. Takes out the turret. We can't blame him. Maokai has no vitals.
He doesn't.
Nope.
I mean, I guess neither does Mordekaiser. He's just basically a suit of armor,
yeah.
right? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, yeah. Maybe I spoke too soon as Trace pops the ultimate, getting low. GBM coming in to try to save his top laner. There's a gold card on the score. A kill for Jin Air. Someday in a lot of trouble, too. Can he take out the top laner? No. GBM, another kill for Jin Air. And, oh, boy. I think Jin Air found the vital spots of KT, the team, at this point.
Yeah, and what a perfectly timed dive. Right as the tower goes down,
yep.
They push forward, Trace goes in early, and KT tries to kill him, but they don't respect the fact that the Destiny is up, and Chaser somehow gets behind the members of KT, too.
Yeah, this is working much, much better for Jin Air than what we saw in the first couple games.
KT managed to come back, though, previously, so Jin Air has to just keep pushing this advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to need more.
Because at the end of the day, 4K gold isn't going to do you much. It's 6 items with this composition. It's not really going to help you at all. You have to have this kind of lead.
Yeah, only one turret as well for Jin Air right now. No dragons yet. So KT hanging in there so far. Arrow catching up a little bit in farm. Not as bad as it was before. But yeah, the real trouble is in this top lane. This is exactly what we talked about.
Geez.
Someday, why would you go in on that one? Here comes Chaser.
Where did the spear go?
I thought it landed onto Someday, but maybe it hit a minion.
I think he reposted it, actually.
Oh, did he? Ah, okay, you could be right.
So I think he anticipated that and then used that ability.
Might have been trying to deflect something Maokai was sending his way and just happened to get the spear too.
I think he knows if he's in that position and Maokai's Wing him that there's probably a spear coming in from the black.
Could be. From the fog of war. Not really much of a war though. It's only 5v5. It's like the fog of skirmishing.
Well, it could be a wider war going on. I mean,
true.
I know it's all null and void now or whatever. And
well, no. The Rune Wars were a long time ago, Monte Cristo. In fact, the League of Legends was invented so that they could just fight it out like this instead of fighting more wars.
But didn't they scrap that idea?
Well, yeah, but that's all we got. I mean, we don't really have any replacements yet. We've more or less just been told that it doesn't exist, even though it's the only thing that kind of exists, I think.
Well, I think that Barry and my idea that this is actually Valhalla. It's actually the afterlife for all these champions where they just fight all day. So Viking Heaven was basically just fight all the time.
I like it.
And then when you die, you just come back to life and go feast and then go kill each other again. It would explain how everybody comes back to life constantly.
Sounds good to me. I like that explanation. You should patent that quick. Jin Air going for a dragon. I can't wait till like Immortan Joe shows up and he's like, I'm here, I'm in Valhalla. Wait, I did not expect the giant cow. That was not part of what I expected. GBM coming in. They want another plan to Someday. There's a gold card. Gets reposted.
Someday there, but Pilot is going to take the bottom side. I think at the very least, Immortan Joe would be happy. He could add misfortune to his like human dairy or what's going on.
He could just ride around on that Blitzcrank skin all day. Piltover Customs Blitzcrank. When you lose with Immortan Joe, it doesn't say defeat, it just says mediocre. Which is better than defeat, I suppose. They've already got Kassadin, though, for the dude who wears like a mask with like the big air tubes and everything. So Morton Joe would need like a different costume shtick.
Has to mix it up.
Yeah. He's really kind of a combination between Urgot and Kassadin, isn't he?
Yeah.
That a Morton Joe.
I guess he is.
Yep.
I guess he is.
What do you know? We're still waiting for those crossovers, you know?
The Bad Max crossovers.
That's right. I feel like movie crossovers are something that good old Rito could benefit a lot from, you know?
I mean, they basically just steal all the ideas from movies anyway, so you might as well just go official, right?
Hey.
I look forward to your Aliens versus Predator, Kazakhs versus
the first step
Rengar
is
skins.
The first step is getting the champions on Coke cans. The second is getting the champions to drink Coke in game. That's where we're going next. Maybe, yeah, Coca-Cola Gragas, right? He's just carrying around a big can of Coke.
Do you think Coke wants to affiliate themselves with alcoholism?
Well, Coke is an alcoholic, so it's more like he's just drinking a bunch of soda.
That's why he's getting drunk?
I don't
and
know.
Slurring his words?
I don't know, man. Maybe old Coca-Cola before they changed the recipe.
Oh, boy. You can look that one up, kids.
That's right. That's one for Wikipedia.
All right, GBM waiting here. No, not going to go for any kind of play. He doesn't have his TPs up anyway, but, I mean, Janair, they have a 5K gold lead. This is definitely where they need to be. Healthy advantage at this point in the game, but now it's about cracking this last turret in the mid lane. Uh-oh.
Oh, Nagne could be in a little bit of trouble. Chaser comes in, gets stunned, takes a bit of damage.
It was very close.
Yes, it was. If that sudden hadn't come through, Nagne would have probably not lived through that.
Definitely would have had to use his flash. And
yeah, at least.
Nagne holding back right now, and Janair has that opportunity just to group up in the mid lane and start pushing their advantage.
Oh, 5K gold lead at this point for Janair. They've kept the momentum going. They can take this turret. That's going to be another big part of it. Trace coming from the side. They could go for the dive here. Nagne still very low, very vulnerable. They might throw Peekaboo in, trying to save this turret. Trace coming from the side. Peekaboo just going to punt him out as KT backs away. Janair gets the turret at the end of it all, so the momentum continues.
Great grouping by Janair. Good threat on the flank from Trace. Pops that Righteous Glory and gets headbutted right back out, but they get what they came for, which is going to be that last remaining tier 1, and now Janair just in an amazing position. You have your outer ring up, you have TF, their outer ring is down. You have so much flexibility with where you can ult on the map. Their 2 TPs are going to be doing work as long as they play this out properly.
That's right, Arrow quietly powering up behind everything here. He's got his blades, so still not doing a ton of damage, but I suppose it's better than the early stuff you see normally on a Kalista. Oh, battle over the Gromp. Somebody's going to back away at half health.
I'm a bit surprised by the Fiora pick this game instead of the Fizz. Fizz, of course, they didn't know the TF was coming, but it's always a possibility when we're talking about Janair, especially on the red side.
Yep.
So when you have that in mind, maybe you just take the Fizz here. At least he can dodge a few things coming out of the enemy team. And the Fiora, it wasn't that effective in split pushing. Of course, it was up against the Malphite in the first game of the series and now against the Maokai, but I don't know.
Well, Janair just picked so well around it, too. I mean, picking a lot of champions that they knew could just really hold back Someday all game long, and they've done a good job of it. I'm amazed, actually, that Someday has only died once this game. That's pretty incredible if you think about the amount of pressure he's had to deal with.
Not only that, but he's caught up in farm, too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's just a testament to how good of a top laner Someday is.
So they're holding on for now. Nagne, 6K behind, but at least he still gets his blue buff so he can keep up the wave clear.
And again, I mean, if we get to that later stage of the game where it's like 50K gold to like 56K gold, then suddenly that lead that Janair has now really is not going to matter for a whole lot.
No, it's not. So this is very wise by KT.
Yep.
Just try and stick to your tier 2s. Don't let them take any more. Don't let them port behind you. If they're going to get a dragon, they're going to get a dragon. Just try and keep a ward or 2 on Baron at all times, so at least they can't get that.
Yeah. Janair motioning a little bit down towards the bottom of the map. There is another dragon in about 35 seconds, so it is time to get a bit of control on that side of Summoner's Rift. Baron up for the first time this game in about a minute. Not a big concern for either team right now. Gate U's are going to try to catch Someday here right before the Dragon. Looks like Score is there as well. GBM has to flash. Someday chasing him. Are you looking for a challenge? Maybe not as he runs away. There's a gold card. Whoa, Someday nearly taken out. Trace is going to finish the job. Goes down to the jungle. Nagne looks like he's going to pick up a kill with that Chaos Storm. 1 for 1. Both top laners going down, and the melee continues. Che very, very low. KT may find an opportunity here. Che manages to make it out. GBM back in again with the gold card and the home guard. Teleported in. Chaser going after Nagne. Nagne still low, and there's an auto attack to finish him off from GBM. Score gets taken down as well. A bloodthirsty kill for Che, and Chaser trying to chase down Peekaboo. So in the end, a 1 for 3, or a 2 for 3, I suppose. GBM did come back a little bit later. Didn't die, though. Never mind. So it is 1 for 3.
Yeah, 1 for 3, and they did not respect the TP coming in from GBM. He was able to really turn that fight around, and they couldn't quite kill Che right there as he backed out. So KT falling even further behind in the end.
It really seemed like that was their moment, too. You know, it seemed like they had finally found an opportunity where maybe they could get a couple kills, get a little bit of gold, but instead, lose 3 people.
Oh, we just can't
Probably
fight.
lose the Dragon.
They can't fight in this power spike right now. There are just too many Sheens from Jin Air. So they're in the perfect point in their composition. GBM finishes up his second core item, the Zhonya's Hourglass. So he's going to continue to be able to make plays onto the Fiora with a lot less threat of dying. And now finally Trey's starting to stack up some armor too after that early Righteous Glory. And another Dragon for Jin Air, and this is looking still very good for them.
Yep, Dragon number 2 goes down. 3-0 is the turret lead, 2-0 is the Dragon lead, 7-1 in kills, and this game could not be more different than what we've already seen today.
Well, it's nice because I like the adaptation that Jin Air made. In the last game, they went for that Juggermaw, which requires a lot of time to ramp up. This time, they just all in with a mid-game composition, confident that they're going to be able to play the map and get the kills, and indeed they do.
Yep.
And they start to just slowly work up that gold lead, 7-1 in terms of kills. Huge, huge advantage when it comes to items.
The question now is the same question we've had all game long. Can they keep it going? You know, is KT going to finally be able to stall things out enough to play for that super late game? If KT wants any chance of winning this one, they're going to need to stretch this out to like 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to take quite some time. And someday, getting the vision down, so at least KT playing this out in the best way they are able. Not fighting the Dragons, making sure they have some idea of what's going on in their own jungle, making sure that Jin Air is not going to be able to sneak a Baron, and farming at their tier 2s. What else can they do right now? Nothing.
Yep, pretty much. And Jin Air, I don't know, how aggressively do you need to push this right now? Do you still need to really go for it? Can you maybe try to force a Baron?
I think that they have to start controlling the Baron and trying to force the fight. That is the next step in this procedure for Jin Air, is that they need to really lock up that vision in the top side of the river. Because if you just let KT farm, you give them a chance to make it back into this game.
Yeah, pretty much. There's been a couple moments where Jin Air has seemed to start to stall out a little bit. They've always brought it back with some kills, but this is another one of those moments. You need to hold the Baron fit. You need to keep putting pressure on all 3 lanes. They've got the wards. Do you think it'd be wise to just try to force a fight?
They can't really do that. They don't have maybe they could just TP in from behind with the TF, but I say just play around Baron right now. Problem is that Trace is in top side and Pilot is in bottom, so they can never really threaten the Baron.
Yeah. Looks like they're going to be able to get that tier 2 up in top lane. Yep. Yeah, the fact that they can still just walk up and do that shows just how far ahead Jin Air is right now. 9,000 gold lead. I think that's one of the biggest leads we've seen at 23 minutes so far today.
Yeah, definitely. It's huge. And it's exactly what Jin Air needed to get themselves back in this series. Down 0-2, change up their tactics, and now they found something that really works against KT.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see. I mean, that's the nice thing about a best of 5, right, is that the teams need to have this level of adaptability, because if you're this good, if you've gotten this far, you're going to go through a couple different strategies in a best of 5. So now it's going to be KT's turn next game, presuming that Najin can close, or not Najin, that Jin Air can close this one out. That KT needs to show they have something new.
Yeah. The go-to, not as effective for KT.
See how it still feels so unbelievable that Najin isn't about to go to Worlds? I'm still saying
You're still in shock.
I'm still saying it. It doesn't seem real, you know?
Been to the last 3 years. Why wouldn't they be at this one too? Well, not having the best performance to close out the season, even though they picked it up.
You know, if someone said at the end of 2015, around Worlds, are like, so 2 things are going to happen. Najin's not going to Worlds, and you're going to be dressed up as Shen. And I would say, I don't think I'm ever going to dress up as Shen. Because the Najin thing just sounds implausible.
It really does. Well, we have to get ready for this brave new world where
I guess so.
Najin isn't there.
We don't really, because the Ku Tigers are still going to World.
And they're basically Najin.
That's Smeb and the Najins, guys. So it's still basically like Najin is going to Worlds. It's just not. It's more that Watch isn't going to Worlds. That's the biggest surprise, really.
And if KT wins this series, Nagne will be there too, another former Najin player.
True enough. GBM trying to come in onto Someday. Someday lunges away that gold card, wants to be used, Twisted Advance. There it is. There's the stun, and Someday just nowhere he can go. Another easy kill for GBM. And Jin Air keeps pushing that lead up to 10,000 gold now.
Here we go, another siege on the bottom side. They have the split push going and virtually no HP left on that turret, so kiss that one goodbye too.
Yep, easy turret take for Jin Air. Yeah, this Fiora pick, I mean, Najin was so prepared for it, but at the same time, it is a very one-dimensional champ right now. I don't know how much Fiora we're really going to see in the future.
I think she's good. I do think she's strong, but she is snowbally, and that's one of the issues with her. Now, to Jin Air's credit, I love their plan here. I was so worried about them when I saw the Maokai, and then the Fizz wasn't banned for the first time, but you know what? Jin Air had a comprehensive composition to come back, knowing that Chaser still had this Nidalee pick on the table to synergize with the Maokai, and then without the TF ban on red side, it was really a very nice draft for Jin Air. And sure, it's a very execution-heavy composition, but Jin Air has done a beautiful job of pulling it off.
You know, I suppose you could say, too, that if KT had gone with the Fizz, Jin Air could have still put just as much pressure on them up in the top lane. So they were ready for it, even if the Fizz did come through.
Yes, absolutely.
Dragon is
the
back.
Fiora may have been a surprise for them, but Fiora is still not a wave clear champion. Easily able to dive in the early game. In fact, it's even better for them that the Fiora was picked, really.
Yeah, it certainly worked out nicer for Jin Air, made it easier, and they're going to get that easy third dragon, it looks like, too. Yep, there it is. So Jin Air with 3 dragons, unanswered by KT in our 3rd game of the night. And it looks like this best of 5 is not quite over yet.
It would take a pretty big miracle for KT to come back from a 12K gold deficit at 27 minutes. I would like to see Jin Air be, again, more aggressive around this Baron. They can start doing that now that they have removed Pilot from that bottom lane and put Trace there instead.
Well, that's got to be the plan at this point. GBM can pretty easily defend his mid lane turret and then be near Baron whenever he needs to be for his team.
The issue right now for Jin Air is that they don't have a sweeper on their jungler. We do see, because Chaser doesn't actually build a Sightstone, and most jungle Nidalees do not, that you have to go for an upgraded warding totem in that situation just to provide adequate vision for your team.
Right.
So that means that GBM has a sweeper, but it's not upgraded. Just makes it a little bit tougher to black out the Baron area.
It doesn't stop Jin Air from coming in. They don't spot score in the brush. He's hidden.
That he is.
Yep. Blue buff going over to Chaser, it looks like.
So here we go. Finally going to take away any wards and start the Baron.
Yeah, there it is. And what does KT do about this? Is there anything at all?
Nagne's in base, so no.
No, I guess not. Yeah, with Nagne nowhere near that Baron pit, Jin Air should be able to take it pretty easy. KT's still moving forward. I mean, Jin Air doesn't know that Nagne's not there, I guess.
Well, they were trying to sneak it by showing Trace and GBM, but I think they can play it a little bit harder than that. They don't have to be so scared. They could have just put GBM over there and tried to burn that Baron down just a little bit faster and had some more confidence. But it was not to be. Now the wards go back in.
Yep. But at least it is a bit of a delay for KT. And they can still win this one if they stretch it out long enough.
It does sound kind of crazy to say that, but it is true. I think the main thing that will prevent them,
Oh, Someday might get caught again, but hey, what else is new? Flash, twist advance onto Someday. There's the gold card, and that's going to set up maybe a Baron now for Jinair. Someday lunges, tries to get away, but there's a sapling, and GBM tags him with the gold card anyway. You're out.
KT has to send somebody down to protect this bottom side right now. GBM simply just going to recall the base, actually, so they will just keep split pushing for the moment. He can TP back into the Baron pit if he is needed.
KT hanging out around the Baron area. Need to try something. Trace just doing whatever split pushing a Maokai can do.
They need to, they got the kill, but Someday nearly back up right now, and he has TP, and there's a flash actually from Chaser.
Yeah, it really doesn't seem like wow, you're right, a flash did get used. Crazy, but it really does seem like Jinair is becoming a bit indecisive. Like they don't quite know how to close it out, or at least they do, but they're not moving as aggressively as they should on these opportunities.
I guess they just want to keep killing Someday. GBM has made his way back down to that bottom side once again.
I mean, killing Someday opens up the split push in bot lane a little bit more, right? But it doesn't really do a lot for the team as a whole. KT starts Baron, but then backs off right away. But maybe with, well, and yeah, even with Jinair and with GBM and Trace down there, it really doesn't matter. 2 teleports means they can come back up to Baron anytime.
Yeah, ended up being a good call. They have the Lich Bane, so easily able to take out that tower. Now, no inhibitor defense really here. And Pilot and Che and Chaser can just go ahead and start this Baron if they want. They're waiting to draw people down into that side of the map where they can double TP back up to the Baron pit.
Well, they've drawn Nagne. There it is. Yep, they see a couple people in there. Recall canceled from Nagne. He's going towards Baron now. Score's the only one there. Maybe can get a miracle steal. They'll need it. They're going to turn to Score. There's GBM, the teleport coming in as well. Score completely caught out, going to get taken down. Someday arrives at the party, but not at a good time. GBM, wow, I can't believe he got him there. GBM pops his own, to stay alive. Peekaboo gets thrown in with that Fate's Call. GBM backs up yet again. There's another gold card on the Peekaboo's. Trace causes havoc in the KT backlines, and KT just cannot fight. Whoa, big spear on the Nagne. Jinair gets nearly the ace. Only Kalista left, and I think that's going to be about it.
I think that's a surrender, actually. Nagne just took his headset off.
I don't think there's going to be a lot left after this. There it is. Surrender. And Jinair takes game 3, still alive here in this best of 5.
Yeah, and I think you absolutely surrender there if you're KT. There's no way you're getting back into that game after that particular team fight. And Jinair, very decisive win. Methodical snowballing, played their team composition extremely well. And KT, now they got to show something else. Maybe, what do you do now? May see KT mix up their bans. Do they have to ban the Ashe and the Elise? You think they can probably just ban the TF instead?
Oh, that's the question. I mean, KT, like we said before, now they need to show something new. They need to prove that they don't just have one strategy coming into this. I would think they do. Peekaboo's face doesn't look terribly inspiring there, but I think it should be okay.
I think you're fine. I think if you're KT, you could do exactly the